Good morning. Today's message will come from the book of St. Matthew, chapter 17. I read to you verses 14 through 20. 17, chapter 14 through 20 of St. Matthew. And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man, kneeling down to him and saying, Lord, have mercy upon my son, for he is a lunatic, and so vexed, for oftentimes he falleth into the fire, and often into the water. And I brought him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. Then Jesus answered and said, O faithful and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me. And Jesus rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. Then came the disciples to Jesus apart, and said, Why could not we cast them out? Our key verse, verse 20, And Jesus said unto them, Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible to you. Jesus said unto them, Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible to you. This morning I want to use for a sermon text this morning, the secrets of moving my mountains. The secret to moving my mountains. We have to understand today that a lot of God's children are stuck. A lot of God's people are stranded. A lot of God's people are blinded behind mountains. Some of those mountains have been placed in the way by the adversary. Some of those mountains we have allowed ourselves to set up. But today God wants you to know that there's a secret to moving your mountains. And regardless where you're at in life, what you're hiding from, what you're hiding behind, you can come from behind your mountains. Great message this morning. This morning I want to speak about it and talk about the power, the secret in moving my mountain. 20 is such a powerful word. Verse 20 is a powerful text because the Bible says if you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, Remove from here, and there it shall be removed. Talking about your faith. Not your mother's faith, not your grandma's faith, your husband, your wife, your children. Talking about your faith. We as Christians must learn how to deal with mountains in life. We must learn how to come from behind our mountains that have gotten between us and God. And our sermon text tells us that by speaking to your mountain, tells us about speaking to our mountains, but not only speaking to our mountains, but how to speak to our mountains. We read in verse 7 and verse 20, in faith. In faith, and it will move. We have to understand that our mountains we can always have faith to move our mountains, but we have to understand that our faith will also try us. Your faith can try you. Some say, I've been in the church 20 years. I've been a deacon. I've been a preacher. I've been in the choir. I've been an usher. Been there 15 plus years. Understand today that your mountains in life will test your faith. That's why we must have faith to please God. Someone may ask, what is faith? The Bible tells us that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Meaning that faith is our God in action. That's what faith is. Faith is your God in action, my God in action, our God in action. The faith, substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen. That means that God is in motion. Every day God is working things out. He's working out how to move those mountains. He's working on how to get his children how to come from behind those mountains. Faith is our God in motion. Mountains in life, as I said earlier, will also determine what kind of Christian you really are. Go to church every Sunday. Don't miss a Bible study. Don't miss no program. If they need me, I'm there. Mountains will test what kind of Christian you really are. And believe me, church, life has its fair share of mountains. Whatever you see as a mountain, our life is filled. How the world has its fair share of mountains. I asked the question today, do you have any mountains in your life today? Do you see any mountains in the community that need to be moved? Do you see any mountains in your family that need to be moved? Any mountains in the government, in the schools, in the world that need to be moved? Think about it. Our world have its own share of mountains. I'm asking you as an individual, do you see any mountains that need to be moved in the family, in the church, in the home? And then most importantly, do you see any mountains that need to be moved in you? So we have to understand that a lot of times we can become our own mountain. That's why I say we have to pray sometimes. God, please help me hold my tongue. God, please help me not to get in the way. God, please help me not to do what you haven't told me to do. Sometimes we become our biggest mountains. Sometimes we become our own mountain. That's why God said, lean not into your own understanding. When we lean into our own understanding, we set up our own mountains. Not only will mountains of life try us, but also will test our faith. They will also make us get right with God. I want you to hear that this morning. Not only will our mountains in life test our faith, but will also make us get right with God. And getting right with God will also help us get closer to God. So many times we wait for things to happen in our life. So many times we wait for things to happen in our children's life, in our family, in the world before we seek to get closer to God, before we spend more time, before we pray more to Him. We have to understand that these mountains in life will make you get closer to God. These mountains in life will make you get right with God. I have to say, I want to talk about mountains. I went back many years ago. I don't know how many, but several years ago, I got an opportunity to go to visit my sister in California. And this really was a learning experience for me because I hadn't gone that way before. I've traveled quite a bit, but I just had never been in the mountainous area. And not only was it a learning experience, but I'm sure I think about it, every now and then. I'm sure that my sister and my two nieces and my nephew are ready for us to come back again. But one thing I want to share with you today is the effect that those mountains had on me many years ago. That effect that those mountains still had on me today. I learned a lesson in going through those mountains. I spent a lot of time talking with Jesus going through those mountains. I spent a lot of time drawing closer to God, calling on God, going through those mountains. That's what mountains of life will do for you. Make you get right with God. Make you get closer to God. And one thing I want to share with you today is a fact, because it certainly had effect on me. One thing is certain, that going through the mountains will surely make you call on Jesus. There's things in life, we live our life just going to and fro, but sometimes there's things in life, and those things can be those mountains. Those mountains can make you call on Jesus, make you think on many things. As you and yourself seem like out on the highway, going in the midst of the mountain, it'll make you think about many things, even including the what ifs. I don't know if y'all ever been there before, but sometime in life we go to it just sitting around our house, sometime driving down the road, sometime in our idle time. Think about on the what ifs. I went there. What if we break down? I went there. What if something happened up the road and we have to reroute? I went there. Not only what if, but also make you think on what will I do if something happened. What will I do make you think about who will I call on. Many thoughts, many ideas, many things come into your mind. as I went through the mountains. Although we had our daily prayer, wife and I would pray together, and we bless our food together. We had started out that day, and we talked about, even though we had our daily prayers and our Bible readings, which we do daily, and we had asked God in advance for traveling grace. But even in the midst of going through the mountains, we still had to spend extra time calling upon the Lord. Unknown area, unknown circumstances, but we had to, in the midst of those mountains, we had to call upon the Lord. Because as we entered El Paso, was the first set of mountains I think I seen, and it appeared to me that we was driving right into the mountain. Well, I mean, what's going to happen? It looked like we're facing right into the big mountain. We have to understand, sometime in life, we feel that we walk right into the middle of a mountain, middle of something, middle of an obstacle. And I'm sure it's been fascinating that first playtime out there, I acted as a little boy, but I was fascinated how tall the mountains were. And as I thought on the height and the shape of the mountains and miles of mountain, I could not help from thinking about who, what, when, where, and why. If something happened, who would come? And we're in the midst of nowhere. Oh, my friends say, oh, just call me, I'll be there. Don't know if they would come that far. If something happened, who would come? Not only who would come, I wonder who would find us out here on this desert road. Thought about what would happen if the radiator began to overheat. Talking about the what ifs. What would happen if the car started to make a funny noise? What would we do? The what ifs in life. Thought about when would the next car come through. Not only come through, but when would the next car come through that will be willing to stop and help? Because sometimes in life, when you break down, you're on the side of the road, cars pass, not every car come by is willing to stop and help. And then, where would our help come from? Who could we call in the midst of nowhere? Then I would think upon this, for surely we could call on Jesus. Surely we can call on Jesus in the midnight hour, any time of the day, because we not only call upon him, we can call upon him knowing that he can make a way out of no way. He can fix it. He can have a ram in the bush seconds away. Have a ram in the bush miles away. Church, whether mountains in life or mountains traveling the highway of life, it can be very scary when you don't know who to call upon. It can be very scary not having a right relationship with God, because we never know the dangers, never know what secrets lie within the mountain. But one thing is certain, we can always call on Jesus. Church, that's some good news today. No matter what you're going through, no matter who's involved, how many times it's been there, the cost, whatever it may be, how big, how small it is. One thing is certain. You can always call on Jesus. He's always willing and ready to meet us at our point of need. Isn't that amazing? Oh, what a mighty good God we serve. One thing is certain. God has given us the power. He has given us the secret to removing our mountains of life. Somebody today is hiding behind a mountain. Someone today is forced with not trying to get to the other side. Somebody today is dealing with a mountain in their life. Today, God is telling us that he has given us a secret to moving our mountains of life. And the secret is having faith in God. Faith in God. And then the next one is speak to your mountain. You know, church pastors, you tell us you want to speak to our mountain, people going to think we're crazy. People going to think we done lost our mind. No, the Bible says that we will speak to our mountains and have faith in God, believing that faith in God is able to do all things. God will do the rest. Are you willing to speak to your mountain? Do you have the faith that believe that no matter how hard it may seem, how difficult it may be, how many may be involved, or whatever point is in your life, have faith and believing that God can and God will bring you through. Today, church, as I look at God's children today, many are living their lives behind mountains. Many has become lost in the mountains of life, not being willing to speak to their mountain. Many have given up on moving forward. Many have given up on their blessings. Many have given up on doors and windows open because of mountains that have been set before them because of their unbelief. We read today, not only us, not only God's children, but even the disciples wasn't able to do what they could have done because of their unbelief. The disciples had become powerless. They had lost the secrets on moving their mountains. There's another thing that I learned from my trip, and that is you will not be able to see the other side until you have drove around, until you have drove through, until you have climbed up the rough sides of the mountain for miles and miles and miles. I learned that. You'll not be able to get to the other side until you have drove around, drove up, twisted, winds in the road for miles and miles. Well, I want to invite you to know today that the same thing in life occurs when you're willing to step aside, climb up the mountain. You won't be able, until you're willing to do that, you won't be able to see the other side. You won't be able to see what God has in store for you. You won't be able to see what God want to do through you. You won't be able to see what God want to bless you with until you're willing to step aside and climb up the mountain. So many times in life, we feel that we have to be involved. So many times we have to think that everything is for us. I learned a long time ago, many years ago, that everything is not for me. Sometimes in life, we have to step aside. There's a mountain, sometimes we have to step aside, but keep stepping. Some may be asking, Pastor, what are mountains of life? I like to sum this up with you today by saying mountains can be anything that get between you and God. That's your mountain right there. The most important mountain you need to know is anything that can get between you and God. Because I can assure you, once something to get between you and God, guess what happens? It grows. Then it will get between you and your family. Get between you and your children. It will get between you and people. It will get between you and even yourself. How did I do this? Well, how did I get to this point? What am I doing? What am I thinking? That's what your mountains are. Anything to get between you and God, because it will grow. And it will get between you and others, between you and people, you and family. And believe me, there were some rough mountains, there were some tall mountains to climb. There was many that I seen through Arizona and in California. I never knew that mountains could be so large. Same thing in life, church. We're going to be faced with some mountains. Some of them going to be large. But think it not strange, regardless, knowing that how large they are, God is able and giving us the secret how to get to the other side. Some so large, you advised that when I was driving down the road, some are so large, they're high that they advise you to turn down for your AC units. Advise that you'll be climbing a certain number of feet. Some were so high that your ears was popping. Sometime in mountains, we're going to go through mountains in life. May not be high, but it's going to be to a situation that causes us not to eat right. Mountains that change the way we talk, change the way we sleep, change the way we treat others. Those mountains will cause changes in your life. But one thing is certain, but if you were able to make the incline, if you're able to keep on stepping aside, there will be, once you get on the other side, it's going to be some smooth sailing. Once you get to the top, it's going to be some smooth sailing. Step aside. As we step aside, we have to believe and know that God is going to work things out for us. Not you, not what you're going to fix, not what we're going to fix, but all God being in motion, what he's going to do. And this is what God is telling us today. God has given us the power to climb. God has given us the power to step aside. God has given us the power even to climb up the rough side of the mountain. God, if you don't move my mountain, please just give me the strength to climb. He has given us the secret to overcome every mountain in our life. And that secret may be our secret. That secret is to speak to it. May sound, somebody may think you lost your mind. Go ahead and speak to your obstacle. Go ahead and speak to that problem. Go ahead and speak to that circumstance. And as you speak to it, have faith that who, what, when, where, why, that too, it too shall pass. Whatever mountain we are faced with today, financially, spiritually, mentally, physically, worried about this, worrying, God is telling us today we are able to speak to it, and we're able to get to the other side. Not only climb over that mountain, but through God, we're able to move whatever mountain come our way. And know if we don't overcome our mountains of life, those mountains will overcome us. You can't just stay behind that mountain and expect change. You just can't stay behind that mountain and say, I'm waiting for a change. As you wait, you have to have faith. As you behind that mountain, you have to believe that God, your God, is in motion. Your God is in action. You have to believe that God is working things out. We have to understand that if we don't overcome our mountains, those mountains can easily overcome us, hindering us from making it to the other side. Our mountains in life is obstacles that stand to get in our way. Sometimes our mountain can be physical. Sometimes it can be health, sickness, pain, disability, perhaps a financial barrier, a big debt. Perhaps somebody lost their job. Mountains can be a toxic relationship, family problem, children problem, spouse problem. Perhaps your mountain is a wounded workplace. Perhaps your mountain is a bad boss. Sometimes I had to look at myself, make sure that I'm not a mountain for somebody else. Make sure that I'm not a bad boss. A mountain can be in your workplace, can be a wounded environment. Perhaps your mountain is an addiction. Many people are addicted to many different things. Perhaps that's your mountain. Or perhaps it's just a sinful behavior that has become your mountain. And no, I want you to know today, as long as we're behind our mountains, it will always hinder us from seeing God. It will always hinder us from being obedient to God. No, mountain stands for great difficulties. And they are stalking everywhere in our families. There's some mountains in your family. Families have them. There's some mountains in our government. Our government has it. Mountains in our schools have it. Mountains on the job, our jobs have it. In our homes have mountains. Mountains have popped up every place imaginable. Even mountains in the church. That's when they say if it's not one thing, it's another. But God stopped by today to tell us today we're well able to overcome the rough side of our mountain. We're well able to come from behind any mountains of sickness, any mountain of financial, any mountain of stress, any mountain of trouble, any mountain of family problem, any mountain of wants and needs, whatever mountain you hide behind today. Regardless of the mountain in your life, today is a day for you to take charge through Christ and begin moving your mountain. Good news. Today is a day for you to put it behind and start taking control of your mountain. Today is a day for you to start speaking to your mountain. And as you speak, believe in faith that your God is in motion. As you speak, believe that God is already working on it. As you speak, believe that God is already going over there. As you speak, believe that God is already opening it. Your God is in motion. In our text today, this father was faced with a mountain in the family. And I often tell the church, and I tell my family and others, the worst problem we can have in life is family trouble. Worst mountains we have to climb in life is family, mountains and family. This father mountain was his son that was possessed by a demon. Nothing that the son had done, not that the father had done, just the devil had got into him. Sometimes the devil get into us. The mountain was so big in this child's life that it often threw the child into fits. Can you imagine seeing your child just being cast into fits? This mountain was so big that the father said his son was a lunatic. Now, that's a hard thing to say, to talk about your child. It's a hard thing to do, to say something ugly about your child, but the father said that he is so touched and going through so much that his son was a lunatic. The mountain so big it would throw the child into the water. The mountain was so big for the child it would often throw the child into fire. What a mountain to see. Not only the sea, but the father had to deal with it. But the day came when the father had an opportunity to bring the child unto the disciples. Verse 16 tells us that the mountain was so big the disciples could not cure him. Disciples that had been walking with Jesus wasn't able to fix it. The disciples could not do anything about it. And the reason being because they had forgot the secrets to moving their mountain. So the father didn't stop. He didn't give up, just as any father would do. The father had an opportunity to come to Jesus, and he came to Jesus and told Jesus all about this big mountain in his son's life. Told him all about what he had seen. Told him all about what happens to his son. Told him all about he couldn't fix it himself. Even told Jesus, he said, I tell you, I even take him to the disciples, and they couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't fix it. But Jesus had an answer. Just like Jesus had an answer for that father back then, he has an answer for us today. Jesus answered, "O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer with you? Bring the child unto me." And after bringing the child to Jesus, Jesus rebuked the devil, and he departed out of the child, and the child was cured that very hour. Oh, what a mighty good God we serve. There's nothing too hard for him. Faith in God, believing that all things are possible if you will only believe. We need to know today that we have the power to move our mountains. We have a power to move that sick mountain. We have the power to move that financial mountain, to move that worldly mountain, to move that problem mountain. We have the power to move any mountain the devil may send our way. Isn't that good news today? You must be willing. If you want it to happen, you must be willing to speak to that mountain in faith, and it will be moved. Regardless of the 5 W's. Because so many times, we as a people, we worry about the 5 W's. We worry about who, what, when, where. Who's going to hear about it? Who's going to know about it? Well, where is it going to be? We have to go over here. When, what time is it going to be? Because somebody may come by. We worry about who, what, when, where, and why in life. But God doesn't. That's good news. We worry about it, but God doesn't. Because he's an on-time God. Through Christ, our mountains can be moved. Then came the disciples unto Jesus. After Jesus had healed them, then here come the disciples and said unto Jesus, "Why come we couldn't do this, Jesus? Why come we could not cast them out?" We know after reading God's message because they had forgot about the secrets to moving their mountain. But Jesus gave him an answer. He responded, "Because your lack of faith." Didn't we say that? Lack of faith. You got to have faith. Faith is our solution to removing our mountains in life. Faith in God is our solution to coming from behind that mountain of addiction, coming from that mountain of fear, coming from behind that mountain, whatever mountain you're behind. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. Jesus said, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, "Remove hence to yonder," and it shall be moved, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Talking about faith, not even moving the mountains from Satan, but to know those mountains of Satan will only move through prayer, fasting, and faith. It is time to move my mountain so I may see the other side what Christ has in store for me. God has blessings for us. Sometimes we have to make it to the other side. Sometimes we have to go around. Sometimes we have to step aside. But if we be obedient to God, the blessing is on its way. For through Christ, there is a bright side on each side of your mountain. Just know God is on the move to help us move our mountain. God can and God will help us get to the other side when you are willing. When you are willing to speak to your mountain, and then not just speak, but when you're willing to have faith and believe that God is working it out. Faith and believing that God is opening up. Faith and believe and know that God is healing. Faith and believe that God is sending you something that you didn't ask for. Faith and believe that God is giving you something that you didn't apply for. Faith and believe that all things are possible through Jesus. I pray and trust you got a thought out of God's message today. I pray and trust that something's been said that will help you on this Christian journey. The secrets are coming behind your mountain. You can come from behind this mountain. I pray that you will not only hide these words in your heart, but you will share this message with someone else, because as always, a blessing isn't a blessing until you start sharing it with someone else. I pray that God will bless you this day. Not only you, but you and your family. Not only this day, but richly bless you in the days and years to come. May God continue to bless you and yours. God bless you.